Good to see you, Frank. You not only got Victoria's Secret to China, but you helped everyone from, Ocean Spray, Smuckers to Harley-Davidson set up their websites so they could sell to this gigantic market. What are you hearing from your clients right now, a weekend later, just 2 days later after this dueling tariff fight kicks into gear?
Well, I'll tell you, there's good news and there's bad news, Liz. Good to be here with you. Thanks for having me on. Look, the bad news is trade friction or trade issues. They don't help anybody. They don't help consumers. They don't help businesses. They don't help employment. Sometimes you might need to be tough on trade, so sometimes it's necessary, but it's not good news for either side. So that's the bad news. The good news is American brands are very, very strong in China, and Chinese consumers have a real affinity for the great American products, the same reason American consumers like it. We make some terrific things over here, and the Chinese consumers have the same view as Americans do.
You also served as former Undersecretary of Commerce for International Trade under President Bush. You watched as President Bush had to reverse his tariffs that he had put on foreign steel and foreign aluminum. We know that President Obama has put tariffs on certain things. Why is this tariff war? Perhaps it's because in this age of social media where everything's put out in the open, why is this one causing so much ire when it's really only $34 billion in goods? And I know, hey, what's $1 billion between friends? Yeah. But when we're doing hundreds of millions of dollars with business, both ways.
Right.
Why is $34 billion such a big deal?
No, well, first of all, I think the markets are saying that there's still more good news in U.S.-China trade than bad news. So I don't think the markets are taking this the wrong way. The trade's bubbling ahead even with the tariffs. But you're right, Liz. Other presidents have imposed tariffs before. They typically, though, have been reasonably small, $1 or $2 billion in tariffs. And when they were put in place, it was for a very specific time duration. 2 years or 3 years. So reasonably short term, reasonably small. This is a little different both in scope and in duration. So I think there is some cause for concern. If this were permanent, it would definitely depress trade. If we're doing it for just a few weeks or a few months to get some problems fixed, then I think we could all come out ahead.
Well, China is saying, quote, you've launched the biggest trade war in economic history. They have in turn put a 25% tariff on U.S. cars. We already have Tesla saying, we have to raise our prices $20,000 per car. I think this is Model S and the Model X over there in China. This matters. 17% of Tesla's revenues come from the Chinese buyer. Is Tesla a one-off, or will we see this reflected in other big U.S. companies trying to do business in China?
Look, these tariffs don't help. They might be very short-term, but think of this. If you're a Chinese consumer and you're in love with that Tesla and you want it, you're going to defer that purchase. You're going to say, look, this whole thing might be over in a few months, so let's just put that on hold, but we're not going to put that money out there right now. So it really depresses business activity, really hurts U.S. sales in China.
Frank, how does this end?
I'm kind of optimistic because, as you point out, Liz, we have seen this before. Each side is making some motions here. I think they're both serious. They're both trying to make some points. But both sides also know that if they don't wrap this up peacefully, it hurts everybody. So my guess is we are going to see some movement on some of these trade issues that President Trump's been talking about. It might go one iteration more. It might get worse before it gets better. But my guess is by the end of the summer, we're back to these tariffs are being removed and trade is moving ahead.
Well, I think it'll get better when they stop stealing U.S. intellectual property. That's just a non-starter. Frank, we've got to run. A lot of breaking news. We so appreciate it. And good luck with the company. Export now.